All right, Apple WWDC 2025. We got a 10-minute highlight. I didn't get to watch the whole thing. Let's react to it.
Good morning.
Liquid glass. It transforms depending on your content or even your context. It beautifully refracts light and dynamically reacts to your movement. Elements once considered for rectangular displays have been redesigned to fit perfectly concentric with the rounded corners of the hardware.
The lock screen has been updated. The time now fluidly adapts to the available space. It also keeps the best part of my photo.
That's hideous. Why would you stretch the numbers like that? Who? Why?
Photo in view as new information comes in. We generate a space.
That's the definition of a gimmick. Why would the time number stretch depending on what happens? I see no. That's not even cool looking.
Spatial scene from your 2D photos, creating a delightful 3D effect as you move your iPhone in your hand. Photos now features separate.
What was that called?
We generate a spatial scene from your 2D photos.
Spatial scenes, okay.
Creating a delightful 3D effect as you move your iPhone in your hand. Photos now features separate tabs for library and for collections.
They fixed photos. Chat, I don't know if y'all know about this. They broke photos so bad. It was a hodgepodge of a mess. And you had to do some special stuff to get the photos to get back to normal the way they were. Oh, now you can just go straight to your okay.
We have some great updates this year to make CarPlay more beautiful and even easier to use. We've also added a compact design when you get a call, so you can still see what's on the screen, like your upcoming directions. iOS 26 also gives you widgets in CarPlay. They're quick and glanceable ways to get information.
I ain't gonna lie, I thought those were already there. I don't know anything about CarPlay, but I assumed it was just a phone screen on your car dash. So the fact that they're just getting widgets is kind of a surprise to me, in theory.
As well as live activities, so you can stay on top of what's important to you, like a friend's flight status. All of these updates also come to CarPlay Ultra. CarPlay Ultra.
Ultra! Y'all better pay Killer Instinct. CarPlay Ultra. The marketing department, no. You could have called it CarPlay Plus. I would have been happy with that, but Ultra?
Lets you choose the layout and design of the most important information for you, and adds vehicle controls for features like the radio.
That's actually kind of cool. I like that.
Status.
All
of these updates also come to CarPlay Ultra. CarPlay Ultra lets you choose the layout and design of the most important information for you.
That's cool.
And adds vehicle controls for features like the radio and climate.
The phone app is fundamental to the iPhone experience.
No, it's not.
This year, we're giving you the option to...
Nobody makes phone calls on their phones anymore. Despite what you may read about, the fact that it's called an iPhone is irrelevant. It is now a texting and browsing and internet device. No phone calls allowed. None.
To choose a new unified layout that brings together your favorites, recents, and voicemails. Now, when you receive a call from an unknown number, call screening helps you quickly gauge whether it's something important or just another pesky telemarketer.
Right, we have that now.
The phone app automatically detects hold music and asks if you want it to wait for you. When you tap hold, the music stops, but the call stays connected. This year, we're giving you an exciting new way to bring personality to those shared spaces with backgrounds.
Wait,
we're introducing...
How do they know the whole music is playing?
Polls. You can create a poll for... We're introducing polls. You can create a poll for anything. And with Apple Intelligence, Messages can detect when a poll might come in handy and suggest one. Now you can request, send, and receive Apple Cash to settle up on concert tickets or the dinner bill right from the group chat. We're also bringing typing indicators for your group chats. We're bringing screening tools to Messages that help you eliminate distractions. We're introducing the ability for you to screen new senders. So your messages go from this, a list cluttered with spam and unknown numbers, to this.
You can mix together two emoji to create something.
So they group all the unknown people into one group, and the known people are... Is that what they're doing here?
Screen new senders. So your messages go from this, a list cluttered with spam and unknown numbers, to this.
Where'd they go? Did they go in the top one? Where'd the unknowns go? I'm assuming they went with in the top number. Because otherwise, where'd they go?
Yes.
You can mix together two emoji to create something new, like a sloth and a light bulb, for that moment when you're the last one in the group chat to get the joke.
I can see this going very wrong. There's a spam option at the top to see the spam.
To this.
I guess they didn't show it in this one. I see that number at the top with the 2. That what you're talking about? Okay. So it's the hamburger at the top. Or I should call it the noodle bowl.
You can mix together two emoji to create something new, like a sloth and a light bulb.
This could go
for
wrong
that moment when you're
quickly.
the last one in the group chat to get the joke.
This could go wrong very quickly.
Live translation. Live translation can automatically translate text for you. When you're catching up on FaceTime, you can follow along with translated live captions while you continue to hear your grandmother's voice.
Écoute ma chérie, ajoute une pincée de vanille.
When you're on a phone call.
That's some futuristic stuff right there. That's one of the things I think when they first came out with AI, they came out with these real-time translation devices, and that felt like Star Trek. That felt like the universal translators. Y'all remember the universal translators in Star Trek? All these alien races, everybody was always asking, how in the world do they speak all these different languages and everything's coming through in English? Aha, we have universal translators.
Call. Your words are translated as you talk, and the translation is spoken out loud for the call recipients.
Hi, are you available to cater a wedding on December 6th?
Hallo, sind Sie für eine Hochzeit am 6. Dezember verfügbar?
Let's talk about maps. We're introducing visited places. You can choose to have your iPhone detect when you're somewhere, like a restaurant or shop, and then view your visited places in the Maps library. Next, wallet. You can create a digital ID with your US passport. While not a replacement for your physical passport, digital ID can be used for domestic travel at supported TSA checkpoints, in apps, and in person.
We're extending visual intelligence to your iPhone screen, so you can search and take action across your apps.
Say I open a social media app, and I see this great jacket. I want to know where I can get something like this.
Should we tell them? I mean, that don't look great to me.
And I see this great jacket.
Should we tell them? Is that great to you? It looks awfully brown to me, but we'll keep going.
I want to know where I can get something like this. Now at the top, I have screenshot controls like markup and share. At the bottom, I have visual intelligence tools like this image search button in the bottom right. I can tap here.
He said great, not gray. Oh. I guess clean my ears.
Action across your apps.
Say I open a social media app, and I see this great jacket.
He said great. He said it in Californian though, so that's why I didn't understand it. I see this great jacket.
I want to know where I can get something like this. Now at the top, I have screenshot controls like markup and share. At the bottom, I have visual intelligence tools like this image search button in the bottom right. I can tap here to find similar images on Google or other apps I use frequently.
Those were
Workout
not
Buddy
similar.
is pretty incredible. As soon as you start your run, Workout Buddy can kick off with a pep talk.
Great job starting your run. This is your second run this week. You're crushing it, closing that move ring for 6 straight days.
And the record for the quickest disabled feature on Apple Watch is dun 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 dun. I can imagine people just yelling "shut up" when they start running. Shut up! I don't want to hear that.
WatchOS also enhances features like the Smart Stack, so it can accurately predict features that could be immediately useful to you. So when you walk into your gym for that regular morning session, a Smart Stack hint will subtly appear. And when you open the Smart Stack, a widget will be ready for you to start your workout. But now, Apple Watch can interpret the ambient noise in your environment and automatically adjust the volume of incoming calls and notifications. Much better. And when you receive a notification that you want to address later, a new wrist flick gesture will dismiss it and take you back to your watch face.
We walk around watching people going,
You can also use wrist flick to mute incoming calls, silence timers and alarms, or even close the smart stack.
That's a gimmick.
We're also giving you a quick new way to capture what's important.
Gestures over the years, they seem to be useful, but 90% of them, in my opinion, are gimmicks. Like the 3-finger swipe to the left and tap the back of the phone, flip your phone upside down. They all seem to, they end up in the gimmick pile for me.
With Notes, which now comes to Apple Watch.
With tvOS 26, app icons feel more vibrant, thanks to their layered design and new specular highlights that bring depth and detail to every edge.
No
Playback controls refract the content underneath, beautifully complementing the action without distracting from the story. Now, you can set Apple TV to display profiles whenever it wakes from sleep. Apple Music is another favorite. With tvOS, singing along with Apple Music gets even better. Your iPhone becomes the mic, amplifying your voice through the TV with visual effects that light up the big screen.
Let me introduce you to macOS Tahoe. The menu bar is now completely transparent, making your display feel larger. And there are more ways to customize what controls appear in the menu bar and control center.
I have this whole glass thing. Whenever you deal with transparent, this is somebody who used to do a lot of transparent stuff on Linux. You have to deal with contrast. So whenever I did transparent stuff, even when I do transparent stuff on the stream, you guys see like the chat and all that stuff. You have to deal with contrast, whether you have dark or light or middle ground backgrounds. This seems like this could be a disaster.
And there are more ways to customize what controls appear in the menu bar and control center.
If you don't have control of
you
the
can change the color of your folders and add a symbol or emoji to give them a unique identity.
Apple's not that dumb, right?
We're bringing live activities to Mac. So if you've ordered Uber Eats on your iPhone, the live activity also appears in the menu bar. And
that's cool.
When you click, the app opens in iPhone mirroring, so you can take action directly on your Mac.
That's cool.
We're also enhancing the calling experience by bringing the phone app to Mac.
Spotlight is getting its biggest update.
They just glossed over that. Wow, you're bringing a phone app to your Mac? Okay.
Ever. It puts your most relevant files within easy reach, including intelligent.
What was this? Oh, this is Spotlight.
Update ever. It puts your most relevant files within easy reach, including intelligent suggestions based on your routines or what you're currently working on. We're also introducing system and app.
I mean, in Windows, that's the quick view, whatever. I'm glad they're throwing that in the Spotlight.
Actions in Spotlight. Say you want to send an email.
Dude, I haven't used macOS in a very long time. I miss it. I really miss it, Lotus Book. I miss it so much. I have to catch up on what the features are through these keynotes.
You can write the message, set the recipient, and add a subject, all without lifting your hands off the keyboard. We're introducing Quick.
That's cool. But I guess that only works with like the built-in mail app. That probably doesn't work with third-party mail apps or webmail or anything like that.
Keys. For instance, sending a message can be done by simply typing SM. And adding a new reminder can be done by typing.
By the way, the last time I used macOS, there was an app, before Spotlight was even a thing, there was an app where you did stuff like this. I forgot the name of it. It might have been Quicksilver. I don't know what it was called. But I did everything with that. I'm talking everything. I'd hit that keyboard combo and then just start typing commands and stuff would happen. Windows has some equivalents, but it came after the Mac one. I remember that, man. That revolutionized Mac OS 10 for me. And then Linux had their own version eventually. Really, really cool stuff you can do with this, especially with the shortcuts and the integrations and the plugins that they had that came out. I can see why Apple would build build this stuff into the OS because it is really, really powerful.
AR, and then just typing the reminder. I can now use Spotlight to get to my clipboard history. Here it is, on the right. This is super helpful to get.
That's a privacy concern. All clipboard, even Windows, all the clipboard managers out there to me are a red flag because a lot of times we have sensitive information in the clipboard. And a lot of us assume that it just goes away. And these clipboard managers can, like, especially if you like copying and pasting passwords and sensitive documents and stuff, this is like a haven for hackers to go in and get like easy personal information. So I'm hoping that there's some good privacy controls. Generally, Apple is good at giving us privacy controls over stuff like this. But if it were me, I'd disable this. I don't trust clipboard managers at all.
Get back to an image, some text, or a link I copied earlier in the day.
macOS Tahoe introduces Metal 4, which brings next-generation rendering technologies to games, like frame interpolation, denoising, and more.
Let's start with some of the
I wonder who's going to be using that for games.
amazing new spatial experiences coming to Vision OS, like widgets. Vision OS now has beautiful new widgets like clock, with distinctive and exquisitely detailed clock face designs. Weather that adapts to today's forecast.
With Vision OS 26, personas will undergo a dramatic transformation and more realistically represent you. Now,
wow. That was a big difference. Was that? I thought that was like a
today's forecast.
With Vision OS,
that is a huge wow. That's a big leap. Because I admit, when they first came out with Vision OS and they showed these avatars and stuff, they looked like the AI tried to recreate you and it failed. This looks more natural. This definitely looks more natural. That's a big leap. That's a good sign for Vision OS, which in my mind, I knew it was going to be in the first adopter pile. I didn't think hardly anybody would use it. I didn't think it would turn out turn out awesome for the first iteration. But that second and third iteration is where we'll see Apple appeal to the masses and make this thing actually useful instead of a really impressive tech demo.
26 personas will undergo a dramatic transformation and more realistically represent you. Now, you and your friends can watch the latest movie or play a spatial game together.
iPadOS 26 is a giant release. This is what you've all been waiting for, a new windowing system on iPad.
But now I also have this grab handle in the bottom right to fluidly resize apps into windows.
That's nice.
If I previously resized apps, when I open them again, they open back in the exact same size and position. And now I also have a pointer that's more precise and responsive. When I use it to hide.
Did iPadOS always have a pointer, or am I just missing the bus? Because I only saw a pointer when I plugged in the mouse.
Hover over these new buttons in the top left, they expand into familiar controls. Another way I can arrange my windows is with tiling. I can simply flick windows towards the edges to tile. There's even a little grabber here to resize both at the same time. So
that was borrowed from Linux. Who did that first? I think it was Linux. I know Windows 11 has that stuff, but I think Linux, the window managers, has some really cool apps that did that.
We're also adding a menu bar on iPad. It's always available from the top of the screen. It's arranged to be familiar with.
Okay, this is turning into a marriage between macOS and iPadOS because I think at some point you're gonna see a very little difference between a Mac and a tablet if you got a keyboard and mouse hooked up to it. I think that's what Apple's going for, really. That they're going for the seamless transition from a desktop to an iPad environment, giving you an environment that's familiar to you if you're coming from Mac OS. Windows tried that in Windows 8. Y'all remember that? It didn't go well. It didn't go well at all. Remember when Windows threw all that mobile stuff into Windows 8? Ooh, those were bad times.
Clear, labeled options, and it's a great way to find the features you need quickly.
The new windowing architecture has enabled us to bring it to every iPad that runs iPadOS 26, including iPad and iPad mini.
We're supercharging the Files app. It now includes features like an updated list view to see more details in resizable columns and collapsible
Yep, getting close to the desktop now.
folders. It also gets the same folder customization options as macOS, with custom colors and icons that sync across devices, making it easy to spot the one you're looking for. And you can now choose which app you want to open a file with and set it as the default.
Oh, yeah.
Like picking Photoshop,
Oh, yeah. It's going to be hard to tell the difference.
or Darkroom for opening images. We're bringing a beloved app from macOS to iPadOS, Preview. And it also includes familiar tools to edit images and export them in a variety of different formats and sizes. We're also enabling more complex workflows for working with audio and video. When it's time to edit and export your content, we're making that even easier by enabling background tasks on iPad. If you start an extended process, like an export, and switch to another app, the task will continue to run. Background tasks show up as live activities, so you always
That's that Apple processor at work right there. You do that on an Android tablet, it'll explode.
know what's running, and you always have full control.
Our new OS releases will be available as developer betas today. With a public beta coming next month. And they will be available to all users this fall. And thanks to everyone for joining us today. We've got a big week ahead of us. Let's go have a great WWDC.
Great WWDC. All right, Tim. That was cool. That was cool. The glass stuff got me worried. I'm a little worried about contrast. The clock thing was gimmicky and stupid. Everything else was okay. I like the big leap in Vision OS with the avatars. That was huge. The widgets, I don't know if that's going to make too much of a difference in adoption. Yeah, the Car OS stuff looked cool. Most of the stuff seems kind of like under the hood type things that could change the way we look and do things, but we won't know until it actually happens because they have a new windowing system. It's just like, as an end user, you're not going to really notice that until devs take advantage of it, right? And with the glass stuff, just like in Windows Vista, whenever that came out on Windows, if it ain't perfect, everybody's going to disable it, because that was the first thing I did on Windows Vista is I disabled the glass nonsense. I'm like, nope, not doing that. So if they don't nail the contrast, if they don't nail how it looks everywhere, then everybody's going to disable it. But if they do nail it, that's really cool. Also, converting your 2D images into that 3D perspective thing was very cool as well. Overall, not too bad. WWDC is generally not that exciting for end users. It's more for developers to have new bells and whistles to play with. So I really wasn't expecting a whole lot from it, from an end user perspective. But from a developer perspective, you got a lot more tools in your toolbox. Check it out. I'll put the link in the show description. I think this is from The Verge. They threw together this 10-minute summary. Thanks, Verge, for doing the work for me, because I didn't have to sit through the whole thing. See you in the next video.